The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today. Yeah, I was looking back at the episode that we did together. It was episode 200. And I was like, oh, man, I'm really bad at math. But I was like, oh, is he going to be on for episode 400? And it's not. Like, it's like 392. But
so close.
Yeah,
so close.
I can't believe it's been that long because it was like it was 2 years, I think. Is
2 years?
Yeah.
It was about 2.5 because I think Charm City Rocks was a summertime book. Well, I know it was, summer. And then this is a fall-winter book. So, 2 years and a couple months,
Yeah. So let me ask that, right? So does that play a part into the writing when you write a book? Like if you're writing a specific season, you know, are you gonna do you schedule that when it comes to like publishing?
You know, this one was pretty obvious because it was not just a winter book; it was a actual holiday book. You know, it takes place over the holidays, and I didn't realize that this is my first holiday book out of my 6 novels, but all the holiday books come out in October, which I didn't realize. I didn't. So it was just when everybody knew it was a holiday book, and I sold the book, and the editor started working on it with me. She was like, "Oh, so this is going to be in October of 2025." So so that was just that's the way it is. I mean, novels. It's weird because I've written books that take place in the summer. I've written books that take place over several seasons or whatever. But books take a long time to write. So there were times that I was at the beach writing this holiday book, I mean, it was the middle of the summer, it's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah. So I want to ask this, and it's funny because I was going to ask, like, is the holiday book, right? Like that, is that like its own little genre? Because I happened to, in the book, like one of the first praises about the book, like in the first cover, is an author of another Christmas book, right? So, like, I'm like, oh, are holiday books like its own? Like, you know how like there's love novels, and you know what I mean? Like, is it its own thing?
It totally is, and I was learning this as we went. I mean, I didn't, set out. I wasn't one day. I didn't say at this point in my career I am going to write a holiday book.
Right.
It's just that was the idea that I had, and that's what I wanted to write, and so I did. But it is a whole subgenre really, and when the book was ready to go out to other authors to get blurbs and recommendations and all that, it got sent to a bunch of holiday authors, and there are a bunch of writers who that's what they do. Like I met some writers along the way here who every year or two they have a new holiday novel, and they've built their whole career on that. And God bless them. I mean, that's their thing.
It's like the Hallmark Channel, right? With all the holiday movie stuff. Like it's like in book form. That's pretty cool. I never even thought that would be a thing until I saw that right on the inside cover. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be a part of the club. I probably won't write 6 in a row, but
right.
It was a good time.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, I want to ask, like, just personally, like, what are the holidays to you?
Yeah, writing a book like this is interesting because I have always had a very positive relationship with the holidays. It was a fun time for my family. I love holiday movies. It was just a nice experience. And in my adult life, it's been a nice experience too. But when you write a holiday book, you are, planting your flag in the middle of this holiday season. And the holidays have a complicated effect on a lot of different people. If they maybe had, family problems growing up or, whatever, the holidays might, kind of stir up some bad stuff for some folks. But for me, I just kind of went into it blindly and just sort of embraced the happiness of the season. And, my characters in this book are both grieving. They're both, they lost their spouses fairly recently, and this is their first holidays. And so setting the book up in that way is just indicative of how much I like the holidays, because I wanted this very sad thing to be set against this sort of universally happy thing. And that was sort of the tension of the book, at least in my mind, when I was, putting the book together and plotting it out and, telling my editor about it before I'd ever actually written anything, any of the actual words. But that was the tension that I was going for,
Cool. Yeah. So, all right. So we should probably name the book now that we're talking about it, right? It's Grace and Henry's Holiday Movie Marathon. Yeah.
My longest title to date. Yeah.
There we go.
There it is.
It's funny because that looks just like my dog. She's off screen right now eating a bone because I had to bribe her to be quiet today. So, but yeah. So, Brick, can you give us like a quick synopsis for it so people who are listening or watching can get a feel for what we're about to dive into a little bit?
Sure. It is the most literal title that I've ever written, Grace and Henry's Holiday Movie Marathon.
And it's the longest.
It is also the longest. It is a mouthful. You have to take a breath before you say it, But, yeah, so Grace and Henry, they live in Baltimore. They're both late 30s, early 40s. And this is the first year without their respective spouses. Grace lost her husband to illness. Henry lost his wife to a tragic accident. And they're coming upon the first holidays. And they don't know each other, but their mothers know each other. Their moms are in a book group together. And they sort of come up with a way to get them to meet each other under the guise of, well, nobody knows what this is like except for you two. So maybe you could become friends and just, help each other through this. And they actually end up taking their moms up on it and become friends. And part of their friendship is based on watching holiday movies together. And so each chapter is a different holiday movie. And when I say holiday movie, I don't mean esoteric, weird movies from the 40s. I mean the most obvious commercial holidays you can imagine, like holiday movies you can imagine. Home Alone, Love Actually, Elf. The big home run hitters, really. And so that's what they do.
Die Hard too.
Die Hard is in there. That's chapter one.
Yeah.
That's chapter one.
Yeah.
I'm saying it right now. That's a holiday movie. But
I go with that. I go with
that.
Yeah,
and with each movie, they get a little bit closer. Their relationship develops, and so that's what the book is.
Yeah. So I liked how I think, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But is this the first time you wrote two narratives, right? You have Grace's perspective, and then you have Henry's.
Yeah, this is the first time I have written dual first-person points of view. So each character gets their own first-person point of view. My first two novels were first-person male point of view. Just the whole book is one character.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I've given one of my female characters a first-person point of view, which is that's a big swing for a male writer. So I was proud of that, and I took particular interest in my editor and my agent are both women, and just hearing what they had to say and really just listening to them as they were giving me feedback and editing and telling me about Grace. And so it was a bit of a team effort, but I think I did a good job. I think Grace is a fully fleshed out character. I'm really happy with how she turned out.
Yeah, Grace was probably my favorite character in the book, to be honest with you. Yeah. Here's the I see that, right, and I see how these two basically they have their own perspective of each other, and you don't see that between each other, right? Because you see Grace's perspective of what Henry is and how she feels she is, and then you see Henry's about her and how he is, and he they both think they're okay and they're not. And I think I really appreciate that, because that's a hard thing to do. Did you walk into this thinking it was going to be like that, or how did that kind of stem?
So every time I write a new novel, as I'm sort of plotting it out and outlining, I also do a little bit of free writing just to kind of experiment with different points of view, different tenses, and just to see how it's going and see what feels good and what feels right and what has kind of the most energy jumping off the page. And I started this book in the same general setup as Charm City Rocks, where it was third person close, and each character would have their own chapter, but it would be in third person. And, maybe because I had just written Charm City Rocks that way, or maybe, whatever reason, it felt a little dead on the page to me. I just wasn't feeling it. And so then I just, opened a new document and started with first person. And it came to life for me. I got excited about the book. And that's when you've hit on the right tense and the right point of view, is when you start writing it. It's like you just sort of take a breath. You're like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. And so I committed to that fully, and it was great because it allowed me to do kind of what you just said, where you get to see each character through the other's perspective. And I thought that was really fun to do. And I think Grace in this book gets to be the funny character. I mean, she's the funnier of the two, and she gets the best jokes and the best lines. And I think her insights about Henry are the most valuable because Henry doesn't necessarily see them about himself. I think she's a little bit more self-aware. I think she understands what she's going through, and she's in therapy, and she understands the emotional Everest that she's climbing. But I think that Henry, because of the nature of how he lost his spouse suddenly in an accident, I think he, at the beginning of this book in particular, is just sort of still in shock. He's still just sort of in a fog of wandering through life and doesn't really quite know where he is. And so Grace gets to be the funny character, the best of the two characters, but she also gets to be the character that saves the other character, which I think is that's a good spot to be.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because like, I mean, I'm someone that goes to therapy. I've been going to therapy for about a decade now, right? So, still got a lot of work, but we're getting there, right?
We're getting there, one step at a time.
Yeah. But one of the things like that I noticed with both characters, right, is like where Henry dissociates in a way of like self-loathing and depression, and just kind of wants to disconnect from everything. He kind of sticks to himself, except when he was hanging out at his parents' house, and then Grace, to me, it seemed like she was dissociating from reality a little bit, right? With with conversations she would have after the fact, with her spouse, and so like I saw that and I was like, huh. And I think at one point, like, she even says, like, I just want to dissociate right now. And I was like, aren't you already?
Yeah. Say exactly what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Part of her sort of way of dealing with grief is that she has full conversations with her deceased spouse. And, I in researching this book, I didn't do vast amounts of research, but, I know some people who have lost spouses way too young, and the idea of occasionally talking to them, even if it's just in your own mind, came up a bit. And it is something that people do, and it's common. And I like that because it was just for writing selfishly, it's a great way to sort of dramatize grief. And as opposed to her just spinning through some inner monologue like any first person character could do, she gets to say what she's feeling and, reflect with this guy, who obviously clearly isn't there, and that was early on something. I didn't even stumble onto that. That was something I really wanted to do with her. Yeah, that was part of her character.
I like it. Yeah. I tell you, this, like, I was really vested in these characters, and I think what makes this book really special, now, I'm not well versed in holiday books, you know what I mean? But like, is like this emotional roller coaster that we as the reader go on with them, right? It's especially with like the two perspectives. I think that really helped like drive, our like the reader's kind of emotion with this. Cause like, I tell you what, there were parts of this book where I laughed. There was the joke, I laughed out loud so hard, the knock joke, and like out loud, like I followed by like getting like choked up, right, almost immediately. And I don't. That's rare. You know what I mean? You don't find a book that has all these different things, like emotions that will bring it out of you, right? I mean, you do a great job with like tackling grief, the complications of grief, the complications of relationships, of like just friendships, right? Or in love, you know, like in depression. I mean, you hit all these marks that are like, it was really, really good. And I can't like, cause like there was a lot of things that like hit home because of things that have happened, you know what I mean, in my life. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like the whole, like forgetting what someone looks like. And like, there was part of me too, that like, so I did this for a long time. Like I felt like in order to remember these people, like I had to just kind of do what Henry did and like be self-loathing and like, you know what I mean? Like I felt like I had to pay penance in order to keep that memory going. And so like with that, like that really hit me, like to kind of see how he was hitting these steps, especially because of the circumstances. Right. But yeah, no, it was like, it was something that like I don't know. You don't see that a whole lot, especially in a holiday, you know, in a holiday like piece, whether it's a film or, you know, but yeah, no, that was that like, there was a lot in this book that kind of just like, it just got me, you know, or in the right way.
I'm glad, and I'm also sorry, because I feel like this book has taken people through, you know, taken them through the ringer a bit. But when I first started writing the book, the biggest challenge of this book was, every book has its own unique challenge. This book's biggest challenge was finding that right tone, right? Because I'm a comedic writer, I think that all of my books are sort of seen through a comedic lens. But I didn't want that to just almost be disrespectful to the very real thing that these characters are going through, and the very real thing that readers are going to have gone through as well, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I struggled a little bit, like, am I being too funny here? Am I being flippant? And then finally I just sort of let myself write and not worry about it. Because I think that, you know, readers, we've all laughed at a funeral, you know? We've all had those unbelievable... I
can tell you a story.
Yeah, exactly. We all have had many emotions arriving at the same time, and we've all been around the block enough to know that joy and heartbreak are like next door neighbors emotionally, you know. And I just decided just to kind of let it be funny when it was funny, let it be sad when it was sad, and if it's jarring, so be it, because life is very jarring sometimes, you know. So I just once I gave myself permission to do that, I felt much better about the book, and I just felt much freer, and things started to flow for sure.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I mean, there's even like I have notes like in a notepad and on my note app over here. Sorry, so that's why I keep looking over there.
No worries.
But like, you know, even like, you write small things that in like little things that typically I think a lot of like film or books or whatever will get wrong, and you write them in a way that like makes more sense. Like, we'll take the dog attacking the swifter. Like, that's a real thing. Not only that, how basically like Grace in her point of view, like she's like, yeah, I'm trying to do this thing, and in real time, like the dog attacks it, and then she's like, nah, and she says like, knock it off or whatever. But the way, like just the way that came off the page, to me, it was like, I've said it just like that. Like, I know I did, you know what I mean? And like, or Henry's big one that he said, we'll say, stop it, right? If someone's like they're making like a joke and he's like, stop it. Like, I can tell how he's saying it, because I say that, right? It's like, it's, you know, and I also, I want to tip my hat to the two that read the book, because they got it down pretty solid too, you know? So I'm big on audiobooks, because like I'm always on the move. But like after I think I have more than just Charm City Rocks. I want to say I also have, I think I have all together now, and for like physical copies, and like and so like I knew I wanted this book, so I ordered it, and it was going to be like a few days. So I got the audiobook in the meantime, and I've listened to the audiobook 4 times since I got it. And that,
Nice.
and I think I reached out right after I did my first pass with it. So, it hasn't been that long. Like I want this to be a film. I think this would hold up and be like one of those films that like people would just love to watch on the holidays, and definitely read for the readers, yeah, I mean, it's got, so like like I said, I've listened to the audiobook a few times because, and I wanted to gear up for this conversation too. But like each time, like there's something different that I find, and I like that. And I think that makes it special,
I agree. The audio folks did such a great job. They really did. And I didn't listen to the whole thing because that's just this mental tick I have where I find it very difficult to listen to the audio of my own books. But they did a wonderful job, and I have gotten every day I get tagged on compliments about the audiobook online or the audio, the voice talent. And I'm proud to say that it was my idea to have a male and a female, because when they came to me at first, the way it works is you write a book and then you're focused very much on the editing the book and finalizing it. And then the audio book, about the last couple of months, they start to get that together and they send you voice talent, just to see what you think, And they sent me, a bunch of women and, female voice readers. And I said, well, what if we do both? And they go back and forth because it's first person. It could be really exciting for, I think, the reader, because it'd be like a real performance, and they love that idea. And so they went out and found some dudes. Yeah. And the guy that we landed on is just fantastic, I think.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So I guess I was going to ask that because I don't remember if we talked about that last time. Like, how involved do you get with like the producing side of the audiobook or whatever? And so
not terribly involved. It's just they always send, just as kind of a courtesy and just to see what I think. They send options, and I'm one of the people that would sort of give notes. My editor would, and the audio folks at Penguin Random House, they do a great job. Obviously, they're pros. That's their job. So I get to be a part of it, but I'm not like the boss of it.
Right. Yeah, I figured. Because I always wondered that, because like I've had some audiobooks like, and I'm like, like they did a good job, but like sometimes when they, so I don't know, because like having the two was awesome, but I've had ones where like you have one person who's mainly doing it, and then there's like little things thrown in, like. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I lost it. Like I lost my,
right.
You know what I mean?
Distracts you.
But having this, like having it this way, I enjoyed it. Also I wanted to ask, so you have like every chapter is a holiday movie, right? But then you have like the sub chapters. Is that what, like the perspectives? Like it's you have Grace, and then you have Henry, and like, you know what I mean? Like, is that the first time you've kind of had like the sub chapter thing?
I think so. I bet altogether now, my 4th book, I think I give each section, because it's not first person, those are third person, in 4 different perspectives, or 4 different characters.
Yep.
I think that in that book, I do say, like Wade or Cat or whatever.
Yeah. I have to revisit. It's been a minute since I picked that one up, so I'll have to revisit that one. But yeah, I think because of the 2 narratives, maybe that's why it seemed like it was a new thing from, you know what I mean? It's cool. So did you write all of one person's story first and then write the other, or did you go back and forth the whole time?
I went back and forth the whole time. Whew. Yeah, because I kind of laid it out. And I'm an outline, a pretty thorough outliner now at this point in my life. With each book, I think I've gotten a little bit more detailed in my outlining, but I had it all mapped out, and I would just go back and forth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, so one of the things that you had mentioned too about the book, like how you wanted to get like grasp like this, like the holiday, like the beautiful part of the holiday, but like also the sadness that comes with it, right? I was listening to the audiobook for the first time around, and the scene, or the part where Ian finds his muse, we'll say, that like triggered something in me, and I went back to something I was trying to do like 3 years ago, finished it, and then I recorded it for like an audio thing for like a holiday like or wintry like sad but happy compilation thing, and I just submitted it last night. So like,
fantastic.
yeah. So it was just something about that scene, and kind of like what you're saying, the whole book is that, right? So it's yeah. So anyway, that inspired me to go back and try to take another crack at this thing, and I got it over the finish line.
That's
this time
cool.
around.
And
so.
I think that is just a product of art, though, because I'm the same way. Like, sometimes you're stuck on something, and then you're reading a book or you're listening to an album or whatever, and it just triggers something. It just moves it just gives you a shove in the right direction. But I think that's just I think that's why writers, artists of any kind should constantly just be consuming art as much as they can. Just listen to music, read books, watch great episodic TV, watch great movies. Just keep pouring that into your head. It can do nothing but help.
Yeah. It was so originally I wanted to write like the running gag is I can't write a song because I can't. And like I've written things my entire life, and for some reason that I'm hung up on that and I can't do it. But so it was originally that I wrote like a treatment for a song, and like I didn't know what to do with it, and it literally sat on my app folder for years. And then I went back and I'm like, you know what? I haven't written a poem since 1999. We're gonna make this like an actual like poem, like, and I forgot how to structure. I mean, I was going back to look at structures and like, and it made me really think, and I got it, and like I said, and I was like, let's record that and see what happens, and
nice.
I think I gave it a good tone, like it was pretty good. I don't know, but it was definitely inspiring to hear like the whole talk that Henry gives Ian about the writer and the painter, and like when they're doing the walk and they see the puddle, you know what I mean? Like that whole scene just set it up for me, because I was like, yeah, I get that. And then when Ian found it, and Henry comes to see, I was like, it just like click, So it's awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. Yeah. Ian, for those listening who haven't read the book, obviously, but Ian, Grace has two kids, Ian and Bella, and Henry kind of forges a relationship with them. He doesn't have kids of his own, and that to me was probably the most fun to write of this particular book was the kids, because I've written romance before, but giving Grace a real life and real responsibilities with kids. And, as a parent myself, I understand that children are always there. Sometimes we see movies or books where the kids are just absent for 175 pages or something, but it's like, that's not how it works. I mean, kids are always there. And so, as she's developing this relationship with Henry, the kids are there. They want to watch some of the movies too, so it was a lot of fun to have them be a part of it.
Bella was great. Bella was tough. Bella was a tough little girl.
Too scary, right?
Yeah. Now, from someone who doesn't have children, right, and has dated people with children and have been involved like in the children's lives as well, like, it that reminded me of that, like in the beginning, how that would go. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, like I was someone that was like, kids, they're all right, but like I formed a relationship with these three little kids, and like. It was awesome, what I mean? And the mother and I aren't together anymore, but like, when I would see them when I lived back home, like I was like, those kids were still part of my life, and they're always going to be, so, it was like I said, all around, it was like you got inside my head, and like, it was very touching. A lot of this book, and it was funny, like you said, it's got that Norman Nation, touch of comedy to it that I really enjoy. Great job. I know I've already said that, but like this book was so good. No, for me to go back to a book like a few times, whether it be audio or physical, like in a row, it was just like, yeah, man, I could see this. I mean, Is there like, I don't know. You should make this a movie, or someone should for you, because I think it's like, I just think it would be one that would hang around in the holiday ether for a long time,
I think that'd be great. I've been told by movie people in my life. I have a movie agent and all that, and that the challenge with this particular book would be that a lot of rights would have to be granted. Because this book is full of movie references. The characters are watching real movies in virtually every chapter. That would be complicated for someone. Somebody would have to deal with that. And not that that's insurmountable. I mean, everything has a challenge, and every movie or TV show or whatever has a lot of logistical concerns, and there's whole divisions of people at studios that work on those concerns. But that would be something that would need to be dealt with for this book for sure.
Now, when you write a book and have references like that, is there any kind of red tape or anything for that, or no?
It's funny you say that. I was surprised at how, because I worked in advertising for a long time, and we had a legal team in advertising, and everything that we wrote had to go through legal. And so our idea was, when I worked in advertising, don't censor yourself. Let legal tell you no, right?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And so just write what you want, and then if it needs to change because of legal, you'll have to deal with that later. And so that was my attitude with this. And so I quoted movies. I had, and that's the thing in a novel. It's the quoting thing. I think that I was waiting for legal from the publisher to be like, I had to cut certain things, and they never did. So I was thrilled. I think my instincts to make them short quotes and things like that probably certainly helped. But in terms of a movie, they could be sitting in the background watching anything, and that's not a problem.
Right.
So it's the quoting, and I quote a bit, but. So I skated right through. It's something maybe like in 5 years or something, the Chris Columbus or something will sue me, or the estate will sue me or something. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope not.
So I want to ask, just from what are some of your favorite holiday movies? I mean, I know the ones in the book probably up there, but is there any of those that are in there that really stick out? Like, if I was to guess, I'm going to say National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, because that one gets quoted a few times, right?
It does.
Throughout the book, yeah. So, but what are some of your favorite holiday movies?
So I think Christmas Vacation is one of the funniest movies ever made. Like, every year I turn it on, and I'm just astounded. Like, the amount of laughs per minute in that movie, it is just, the ratio is amazing. So I think it's just hilarious. And I think it came out in like 1989, and I've probably watched it, every year since, and it is as funny when I was 15 years old as I am now in my, late 40s. So that's a definite favorite for me, just because it's so funny. I don't feel like I don't get terribly emotional when I'm watching it. It's just like, it's like Elf, where it's just like, oh, this is just funny. I'm experiencing joy as I watch this. Elf is up there too. I think that's a very funny movie. But I think for me, The Family Stone, Love Actually, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah.
I think those are three that I are probably my favorites. They just kind of hit me the hardest. I'm just emotionally attached to them for whatever reason, and with each passing year they become obviously older, and I think certain parts of, in particular, Love Actually, maybe have not aged well, and I absolutely respect that and understand that, and I think it's good and healthy to talk about the things that maybe haven't aged well, but just the Colin Firth thing at the end, where he goes marching through that little European city on the way to go, propose to Aurelia, it's just wonderful. I love that so much.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, because I know in the book, I think it was I think it's at the end of the book, right, where you have some words from yourself, and you ask about the book, or you ask about if we mentioned your favorite holiday movie in the book, right?
Right.
Or maybe that is it. I know it's in the audiobook because I heard that, but but anyway, so it was like, I was like, wow, that's cool. Cause it was like an open invitation. You're like, let me know, hit me up on social media. Let me know. Like, it's, cause and like, at least you put in there, like, Die Hard, you're not going to argue about Die Hard. Again, it is what it is, right? It's there.
Right.
And that's throughout the book. Like they kind of like they beat home about that too. I like it. But I will say, Die Hard. If Die Hard is a holiday movie, then I want to say 90% of Shane Black's movies are also holiday movies. Like Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon opens with Jingle Bell Rock. It takes place during Christmas time, you know. So he for some reason, that guy has some trauma with Christmas because all of his movies take place and they're all
What is
wild action movies.
What's the movie the guy with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling? Which one is that?
The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys. That movie.
Amazing.
It is so underrated. I think it was weird. Like that movie came out. It's been a little while, but I think that movies were changing. Like essentially movies in theaters now, and I think it was when that was happening, when that movie came out, are just Transformers and movies for teenagers, because those are who's going to see movies, and that's fine. I get it's a business. And now like episodic TV is sort of where the prestige is now, but man, that movie is fantastic.
Yeah, that was
funny.
great.
It's brilliantly written, and those two have the best chemistry. It's so good.
I went and saw that in the theater, like on a whim. I never saw a preview for it, and I went and sat down, and I want to say it came out in during like the holiday season when it came out, I think, and like
I think so. Yeah.
I just remember being blown away, and I like texted one of my buddies. I'm like, "You need to go see this now." Like it was, oh man, yeah, it was. That's a wonderful one. It's and like you said, like the chemistry between them is just hilarious, and like, yeah. So, but yeah, so I would count that one. I would put that one on my list. You know, I think It's a Wonderful Life would be one that's on my list too.
Nice, yeah.
You know, so yeah, you had some good mentions in there. You had some good mentions.
There's some good ones.
To me, I was impressed with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles being in there personally, because like, you know, when Henry and his brother were quoting it, and I was like, haha, you know, because like that's one that I'll watch, you know, at Thanksgiving time, I guess.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like Steve Martin has this scene at a car rental place that that my characters are talking about and quoting, where it for all intents and purposes it's a sweet PG rated movie, but it had to be rated R because Steve Martin says the F word like literally 50 times in that one scene, and it's just fantastic. It is comedic gold. But that movie is so good. If it was a Christmas movie, I think it would be a true classic. But Thanksgiving movies aren't really a thing. And but that movie is, John Candy. Oh, God bless him. That movie is so great.
I want to say that was the first time, like, because I was a kid when that one came out, and like, that might have been the first time I heard that many cuss words like on screen. That wasn't one of my parents yelling at me.
Yeah. I remember because I think we're probably pretty close at the same age. And I was a kid too, and my parents. It was on HBO, and my parents were watching it. And they were like, "Oh, well, I'm sure this is perfectly fine for the kids to watch," and it really is, except for that one scene. My little brother and I were like, "Oh my God, what did he just say over and over again?" But it's a good one.
Can you remind me again? Because you're in Baltimore, but where did you come from again? What state were you in?
I grew up in Nebraska. I grew up in the Midwest, right. Omaha, Nebraska. In the early 2000s, I moved east for grad school in the D.C. area, and I eventually made it up to Baltimore. And I've been here since 2006.
Yeah. So you know cold weather then, right? From because like you definitely like the cold parts too. Like you nailed it, and I was like, oh yeah, and because I knew you were from somewhere out that way, so I was like, yeah, he definitely nailed that. Because I don't see, I mean, I'm sure it gets cold in Baltimore, but like some of the cold parts in the book were like, it seemed like it was like something was, you know, it was abnormal weather for Baltimore.
Yeah, and I had to kind of write that in, that it was unusually stormy and cold, because I think for me, the holidays, because of my youth in Omaha, Nebraska, feels like cold, like 5 degrees cold, because in Omaha in late December it can be 5-6 degrees and it's not weird. Like that's just what the temperature is, you know. In Baltimore that doesn't happen. If it was 5 degrees in Baltimore, the entire city, there'd be water mains exploding, it'd be mass hysteria. But but you know, in my my mind's eye, you know, in the creative part of my brain, Christmas is very cold, like Chicago Midwest sort of cold, you know. So going back to like the Norman verse, we talked about this last time, right?
Charm City Rocks gets a nod, right? Charm City Rocks. And then Grace mentions an author from the Midwest and who had written about talking to your spouse after they died. And I'm trying to think if that had domestic violence written all over it or not.
No, I don't think so. That might have been an accident, but there is some talk in my second book about an author.
Yeah.
About an author. One of my characters is reading a self-help book in my second book. I think I might, if I remember correctly, I think I was kind of dotted lining back to that.
Yeah.
In this book, in Grace and Henry, Grace's therapist is the female lead of my third novel. So she's a main character in my third book. Yeah, who shows up in this book, and she has one scene. She pops in and pops out.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I thought about because it was the wife of you know what? I was listening. I went to that book too. I went to Last Couple Standing. Right? Is that what we're talking about? Like, yeah. And I was listening to that. I think when you like reached back out to me, and I was like, well, this would be weird if I didn't just reach out to you. You know what I mean? Because I was listening to one of your books at the time because I was at work. Right. But yeah, damn. I wish I thought I was gonna find them all. I tried.
Yeah, no, she had a larger role earlier in the process. When my first draft, she had a couple more scenes, and then for any number of reasons, she ended up getting pared back. Yeah, so I was happy to see Jessica Butler show up, Dr. Jessica Butler.
Is there something with the mice? Was the mice in another book? Did you have mice in? No. Or because I know they're on your on your website, you got the little mice running around, and I feel like they were there last time I was on your site too. But
no, they're new. Craig, the guy that does my website for me, he's great, and we text back and forth when he's sort of building the site for the new book, and he's like, "You're gonna love what I did. Go and tell me what you think." And I went, and I see the little mice running around the bottom. Yeah.
You got Easter eggs all over the place.
I do. There's a subplot in this book involving mice. That was very fun to write. I really enjoyed it, and it kind of comes from my own experience. Again, getting back to Omaha, when I was my last 2 years in the Midwest before I moved east, I lived with my oldest friend, and I lived in an old house together in the middle of Omaha. And it gets very cold, obviously, as we've been saying. And our first winter there, mice showed up, like they own the place,
Yeah, they do.
And we had to deal with them. And
we get that here too. Yeah.
And the thing about the mice was, I was 22 or however old I was still very sentimental. And these mice were very cute. We weren't like overrun with them or anything. It wasn't like they were climbing out of the ceiling or anything. They were we would see a couple of them.
Yeah.
And they would just run out and look at us. And they were like little cartoon characters. And so we explored humane ways to get rid of them, and there are these things called humane traps that capture mice without harming them, and we tried that. And what you realize, and my character Henry goes through this, when you use humane traps, you are basically acquiring pet mice for yourself. And so that's what I had to deal with. And that was 26 years ago, and I finally wrote about it in the book.
That's awesome.
What it's like being a writer is you're just constantly storing these experiences, or you hear about things or whatever, and it's like, all right, well, maybe in 2.5 decades that'll go into a novel.
Yeah. So I was working nights the last time we did this, and like I was working nights up until this past September. I worked nights most of my life, but there was a morning where I was on the couch snoozing, and my dog Tula starts going crazy, and it reminded me of Harry Styles, the pup in
the dog, not the British singer. Yeah.
So, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Is there a mouse over there?" And I seen this thing run. I'm like, "That's bigger than a mouse." There was a squirrel in my apartment, and I had to like chase the dude down into the bathroom, like lock myself in there, and I finally got him. And like I have a pellet stove, so I have like a clear trash can that I put pellets in. Luckily, this was like springtime, so I didn't have any pellets. So I put him in there, and I got him outside, and I like did the thing that basically what Henry did the first time, like, all right, let's go, and he wouldn't wouldn't get out.
Run along, my friend.
So he finally gets out, and then he just looks at me like, what am I supposed to do? I think the apartment upstairs was vacant for like a year, and I told the landlord, I'm like, I hear something in the wall, and he was like, yeah, all right, lay off the partying, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, there's something here. It happened to be the guy who moved in, like he does like pest control, and he's found a bunch of squirrels living in the house, like in the attic and stuff. So yeah, this must have been one of them, and he'd never seen the outside. I don't think he was little, so. But he just looked at me like, what am I supposed to do out here? And I'm like, dude, you're going to make me sad. Like,
you'll be fine. You just go find your people, find a tree.
Yeah.
There's dozens of you out here.
Oh yeah. There's hundreds of them. Cause I live right on the edge of the woods too. So like, they're all over. They tease my dog. Like she hates them. Like, yeah, they'll jump tree to tree just so she like starts chasing the trees around, but anyway, yeah. So I was wondering about the mice. Cause I was mistaken, but, yeah, no, that was a nice element to it, and especially when it gets really cold and he tries to let one of them out, and like what happens, and like again, I'm like, God damn it! I was getting all like emotional.
It was an emotional scene involving a mouse.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Like, I don't know. This is one for the ages right here, because like and going back to like the little things, like I said, like with the Swifter, or like just like the comments here and there, like it's just really like how Grace would just like or there was a scene where the kids, is it scenes in books? Am I saying that wrong?
No, okay. There, yeah,
right.
Scenes. Yeah.
So like when the kids with the Nintendo 64, and the kids wanted to keep playing, and they were like, we don't want, like they didn't want to go upstairs. When she was like, now, I was like, oh yeah, that's my mom yelling at me.
Yeah.
like,
we all know the voice.
Yeah, the mom voice, the mom now voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was awesome. This book was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. I hope you get a few more readers from the episode that we're doing right now for it. And yeah, so creatively, like again, like, I mean, and you're writing about art in here, right? Like, so you said you're big on planning and like brainstorming and outlining and things like that. So like, was there outside of what you said already about, talking to a few people that you had known, that had, lost a spouse or lost somebody, or dealing with grief, like, where were you like, as you were writing this, and again, you were writing this like you were on the beach at some points, right? So you really have to kind of dive into like this world, right? Because it's a holiday, I think even more, because you're, because you're like, was there any moments of like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, were you ever just like, I'm not sure, or did you had it all the way?
No, I had it all the way. I think that when I turned in the first draft, the big feedback was that Grace and Henry are not together enough. And the second bit of feedback was that it's not Christmassy enough yet. And I think that makes total sense, because I feel like a first draft, second draft, it's almost like those interpretations. I thought about this recently when I was thinking about drafts. Early drafts are like those interpretations of Shakespeare where the characters are all on a blank stage and they're wearing black turtlenecks, and it's just about dialogue and scene. It's not about costumes and set and setting. And that's what it felt like. And so I was just getting the plot to work, getting the dialogue to work. And then later drafts were about, okay, they would probably have a Christmas tree, and it would probably be a lot of decorations around. And so I had to sort of make the setting more festive. And I think that, so she was absolutely right. But more importantly, and that was easy. That was just writing about holiday stuff. But more importantly, she thought, and she was right, that Grace and Henry weren't together enough. They were sort of living parallel lives and would occasionally, come together while they were watching a show or whatever. And so I had to come up with ways to have them be together more. And she was right, because this is the whole point of this book hinges on them forging this relationship and going from essentially strangers to friends to, more. And that takes work. They got to be together, and so I came up with ways to to get them together.
Yeah, and using like, you know, today's world, right? They FaceTimed a bunch, like, then there was miscommunications with texts. Like it's you know, again, you write, the little things matter so much, and when they're more accurate than being like embellished too, right? Like, I mean, I know plenty of people who've sent me the wrong text and they're like, oh shit, like, sorry, we weren't supposed to, you know what I mean? Like,
that happens. Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. You know, I wanted to ask too, and I think I think by the time, you know, again, I listened to the audiobook a bunch of times, and I've been reading along with it as well. But like, I think I might have made this part up, but like, there's almost like a Christmas Carol formula to this one, and because you have like, you know, the Ghost of Christmas Past would be like them dealing with like the death of their spouses, and then and then in present you have Henry and Meredith who go on that date, and then you have Dom who, you know what I mean, from across the street, and then like future to me, again, I'm crazy, right? I'm seeing stories everywhere, right? So like for me it was like, so then like of the future would be like the rejection, right? The rejection that Henry gets because of the situation that Grace finds her in with, you know, with everything going on. So like, and then the end is, you know, like the end, right? When they get back together and you have that moment of that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
that's cool. No, that you're not wrong.
Okay.
That's what that is. I mean, it is the past, present, and future sort of colliding. So it's just, you know, and that is like one of the oldest stories ever told, especially if you're starting to float around holiday, you know, stories. It's impossible for that not to be in there, and it's been interpreted so many times. The Scrooged is in this book.
I love that you used that one, by the way. I love that you used the Bill Murray one in the book.
That seemed the best to me, and it seemed, you know, because there's so many. It could have been like one of the new ones, or it could have been like even the Muppets or something. I could have picked any of them, right? But I did like the Bill Murray one because it was just fun to have Bill Murray in a book, and so I was glad I did that.
Yeah. So I mean, because like I said, when I have bands on, because I do that a lot, right? And I'm always like, oh, did you number this album the way you did because of this and then that? And like sometimes they're like, yeah, thanks for like, you get it. And then other times they're like, that's pretty cool, but no. And then other times it's just like, no, that's not what it is.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Like they had, no, we just threw them on there and that's where it went. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, that writing a book and then putting it out in the world and just seeing how people react to it is fun, because people bring their own stuff to it. You know, people bring their own feelings, their own experiences, their, you know, things trigger them that wouldn't trigger somebody else, or, you know, the things that the art that they've experienced and has, you know, affected them, affects the way they, you know, see this. So it's definitely, it's part of it. It's really, it's fun to see. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. All right. So a big question here. This is like a huge question.
Big one. All right. I'm ready.
Are Krabby Fries real? And are they good? Like, what are we talking about here? What are Krabby Fries?
Krabby Fries are very real. If you live in Baltimore, and if you live in the Baltimore area, you are just, the amount of Krabby Fries that you come into contact with and see. I mean, almost every restaurant will be like, Krabby Fries? You want crab? We'll just take fries and we'll put crab on it. You know,
it's legit like crab meat on fries.
So that's what they'll do. They'll take fries and then they'll put crab meat on it, because crab meat in Baltimore is like the thing. I mean, it's everywhere, right? Yep. And so you see that, and then they put like Old Bay seasoning.
I was just gonna say, is it just Old Bay on fries? Because I could see that being, you know.
But if
Old Bay wings are great.
Old Bay wings, but if they say Krabby Fries, that means there are pieces of crab in there. And I'm
gonna have to try that.
I don't eat any seafood at all. I just don't do it, because I'm very Midwestern, but I see it all the time, and so I've had to, just in a fictional world writing about Baltimore so much, I've had to have a lot of seafood arrive, and crabs and crab meat, but I don't eat any of it. I'm taking people's word for it that they like it. This must be good. All these morons are eating Krabby Fries. So.
Right on. Wait, what was the other thing I wanted to ask too? That was like, so if this ever does, all right, and just humor me here, if this ever does get made into a movie, you have a character in this book who works at Charm City Rocks, and he's I think you said he was like a bald guy, and he was holding a record, right?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a character who shows up in Charm City Rocks too.
Yeah.
He's the guy that owns the store. So you could, if that got made into a movie or a show, you could have like 2 jobs. You could be a recurring character. That would be awesome.
I saw that and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure I have a record near me when I talk to
music
Matthew
guy.
Norman.
It's perfect. A bald music guy. Yeah.
Because there's only one of those in the world.
No,
right?
there's hardly any.
Oh man, yeah. This like again, like it was such a fun read. It was you hit everything. You hit the emotional roller coaster you put everyone on in this one is phenomenal. And like, because even hope, like you got a lot of hope in this too, right? Like, and as the reader, right, you're rooting for these two. Like I was really vested in these characters. I will say, I think, and only because of how she treated the dog, Ruth, she didn't like the dog too much, and I don't know if I got something. I don't know if I can deal with that one. But
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, there's got to be some kind of antagonist, right, in there.
Right. Yeah,
and if it's just because the sister doesn't like the dog licking her feet, then so be it.
Yeah, I think I've spent my career writing villainless novels. Really, like there just aren't a lot of bad guys. There aren't a lot of Hans Grubers in my book, And so, I guess if there is somebody that has just a little bit of a flaw, it's like, all right, the dog issue. That's it. She's the villain.
Yeah,
she is. Yeah.
Oh man, So well, I've taken up enough of your time today. Matthew, thank you again. Thank you for writing this book, and thank you for coming back on the podcast and talking about it. And I hope we can make this a thing next time you got a book out. We come back on, and I want to apologize to everyone who works at Penguin House, because so I knew you had an agent, right? So I went to your website and I reached out that way, and I got a reply back like, "Hey, I'm on leave." It was like an auto reply. So I went to the next person, and then I went to you, and then you said, "Oh, this person." So I went to that person. I was like, "Oh man, these people are going to hate me. Like they're going to say, struggling artist, get out of here."
Get out of here, dude. We don't want you. We've built this entire apparatus to get rid of you. No, it was, it's wonderful. This is what writing a book, this is what you want. You want to talk to people, and this is wonderful. So thank you for having me. But yeah, there was a bit of a revolving door of publicists for a bit with this one because of just some people changing jobs. Just, corporate America stuff. But everybody was very happy to put me in touch with you. So they were not annoyed with you, I promise.
Right,
I promise.
I was like, man, I'm asking everyone over there. Like,
who's the president of Penguin Random House? I will give him a call.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you again. Before we go, though, where can people find you? Where can they find your book? On the social media, where can they find you on social media, all that stuff?
The books, and this one in particular, are pretty much everywhere books are sold. They've popped up in lots of indie stores, of course, Amazon and the Barnes and Nobles of the world. So they're everywhere. They're not difficult to find, so that's good. But for me on social, just remember The Norman Nation. TheNormanNation.com is my website. You can see the mice. The Norman Nation, I'm on Instagram, and I am on not on X anymore, but I'm on Threads, and I'm kind of on Blue Sky, but I haven't really gelled with Blue Sky yet. But I'm around. Same. Just The Norman Nation. You'll find me. All
right, cool. Well, Matthew Norman, thank you again, sir. Again, it's always a pleasure talking with you. And next book, let's do this again.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right.